Israeli army has had its worst day since launching its ground invasion after at least 24 soldiers were killed in Gaza. The injured were airlifted during an exchange of fire with Palestinian fighters around Khan Younis. 210 Israeli soldiers have been killed since Israel began its ground operations in Gaza at the end of October. Let's speak to Stefanie Dekker about this. She's joining us live from occupied East Jerusalem. So, Stefanie, 24, the highest number of Israeli casualties in a single day since the war began. How is this going down there?
Yes, we've had a reaction from the top administration here, the Israeli president calling this an unbearably difficult morning. We also had the defense minister saying that this only makes us compelled to reach the aims of our war. Of course, condolences to the families. Itamar Ben-Gvir, the extreme right-wing minister of national security, saying that this highlights that the war should not stop and we should keep fighting. So yes, as you mentioned there, the deadliest day for the Israeli military since the ground operation began. They're entering, even the Israeli president there saying in his statement, what is an incredibly difficult phase in very difficult circumstances in terms of the area that they're operating in, particularly this push in Khan Younis, as we've heard there from Hani reporting. Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, is from Khan Younis. The Hamas's military commander, Mohammed Deif, is from Khan Younis. The Israeli military, according to their statements, believe that Sinwar is in Khan Younis in the underground tunnel networks. They believe perhaps he surrounded himself with many of the captives as a form of security, if you will, security guarantee. And again, you're also dealing with an army, Israeli army, that's made up of reservists. This is a country that has conscription. They spend between 1.5 years and 3 years in the army. They go home to their jobs. 350,000 of them were called up from their jobs to go and fight, many of them inside Gaza. You're dealing with Hamas, who's been training for this for years. They know the tunnel system and the streets, the dense streets in Gaza like the back of their hand. So yes, what we're witnessing now on the ground in Gaza is certainly probably the most difficult ground-to-ground fighting for the Israeli army.
Right. And they have been, as this is happening, there have been reports, Stefanie, of a possible new deal between Israel and Hamas, which I understand is being picked up by the Israeli media today. What exactly is this proposal and what's being said about it?
We've had a lot of back and forth over the weeks of leaks of what is being negotiated, what parameters are being discussed, who's put the proposal on the table. The latest that we hear now that was released overnight, leaked overnight, was a deal that Israel is agreeing to or offering, if you will, 2 months of a pause in the fighting. This is in contradiction, just briefly, that Netanyahu has been so defiant to say no pause in fighting, no end to the war. So the details of the report is this. So 2 months in exchange for a gradual release of all the Israeli captives, including the bodies of those that are dead, including also the 2 dead soldiers they've been holding since 2014, Hamas has been holding, and 2 captives, Israelis, that crossed the border voluntarily in 2014. So all the Israelis are being considered in this deal. And this is also for, they will be discussing how many captives, 1 captive, how many Palestinian prisoners, sorry. So all of these details are leaking in terms of what's being discussed. What we know, publicly what's being said. Israel's position is, particularly Netanyahu, no end to the fighting, no ceasefire, and we will get the hostages militarily. Hamas has said all along a total end to the war, and only then will we release the captives. Folly, what gets said publicly and what gets discussed behind closed doors are often very different things. So I think what's clear is negotiations have been ongoing.
Right.
Now these leaks again about specifics. Let's wait and see. We know that Brett McGurk, the U.S. envoy, is in Cairo right now. Discussions are underway. He will be heading to Qatar as well. So we're going to have to wait and see what kind of compromises, if any, get made on both sides.
All right, Stefanie, thank you very much for that. Stefanie Dekker reporting there live from occupied East Jerusalem.